Every purchase you make in this life comes with two price tags. The first one is simple. It is the one you see on the screen when you tap your card at the register. It is the one that appears on your bank statement for a fleeting second, and then, truthfully, it disappears from your memory before the week is even over. But there is a second price tag, a silent one. It never appears on a receipt. It never shows up on your credit card bill. And yet, it is almost always higher than the first one. Sometimes it is only a little higher, a few dollars. But often, it is higher by a factor of 10 or 20 or even 40. This second price is the cost of what that money would have become if you had given it a place to grow instead of simply spending it. Most people go their entire financial lives without ever seeing this second tag. It is not because they are reckless. It is not because they are irresponsible. It is simply because nobody ever showed them where to look. My name is Dexter, and I created this channel because I believe money should not be this confusing. Somewhere between the classroom and the real world, nobody sat any of us down and explained how the invisible price tag actually works. So today, we are going to change that. We are going to look at the math, the psychology, and the absolute reality of what happens when you stop seeing money as a tool for consumption and start seeing it as a tool for momentum. If this is your first time here, drop a like on this video. Even if you don't subscribe, it genuinely helps push this out to more people who need to hear it. Now let's get into it. Imagine you are 22 years old. You are starting your career. Your rent is paid, your bills are covered, and you have, let's say, $10 a day that you don't really track. It goes toward a breakfast sandwich, a convenient stop at the gas station, or a small delivery fee on an app you clicked without thinking. Those $10 leave your life every day without leaving a memory. Individually, they feel too minor to track. But collectively, they are the single most important financial variable of your next 30 years. You see, your brain is not built to understand compounding. Your brain is calibrated for a world where things grow in straight lines. If you walk 1 mile, you get 1 mile of distance. If you work 1 hour, you get 1 hour of pay. That is linear. But money, when placed in the right structure, does not grow in a straight line. It curves. It starts slow. So slow it feels like nothing is happening, but then the curve steepens. And with every passing year, it steepens more. When you see the number $600,000, your brain instinctively flags it as a mistake. It looks like a typo. It isn't a typo. It is the result of 30 years of exponential growth. And the reason you don't feel it is because for the first few years, the curve is so flat, it looks like a flat line. Let's actually sit with that for a moment, because I think most people hear compound growth and nod along without ever really letting the mechanism sink in. Compounding is not just interest on your original money. It is interest on your interest. It is growth on your growth. In year 1, your money grows a little. In year 2, that slightly larger amount grows a little more. In year 10, the amount that's growing is no longer just what you put in. It's everything the market has already handed back to you, growing again on top of itself. It is a snowball rolling downhill, and in the first few seconds of that roll, the snowball barely looks different. It's only later, once it's picked up enough mass, that you can actually watch it grow in real time. This is why almost nobody who starts investing feels excited in year 1. The math simply hasn't had enough time to become dramatic yet. And that gap between when you start and when the results finally become visible is exactly where most people quit. Wealthy people rarely build their fortunes through willpower alone. If you rely on willpower, you will eventually fail because you will eventually have a bad day. You will have a day where you are tired or stressed or feeling like you deserve a treat. Willpower is a finite resource. It gets depleted by decision fatigue, by stress, by simply being a human being, living a human life. You cannot build a 30-year financial strategy on top of something that fails you on a Tuesday afternoon when you're exhausted and the vending machine is calling your name. Instead, the wealthy build systems. They remove the decision-making process entirely. They set up an automatic transfer into a low-cost, broad market index fund, something with an expense ratio so low it's barely noticeable. They do this once. A single decision made a single time that then repeats itself automatically for years without requiring a single ounce of daily discipline. When you automate your $10 a day, the transfer happens before you even see the money in your checking account. It happens before the day has a chance to create a reason for you to spend it. By the time you wake up and grab that coffee, the money is already gone. It is already working. You have taken the choice out of your own hands. You have stopped being a consumer, and you have started being an investor. This distinction matters more than people realize. A consumer makes a decision every single time money touches their hands. An investor makes one decision, one time, and then lets that decision run on autopilot indefinitely. The investor isn't smarter than the consumer. They aren't more disciplined in the moment-to-moment sense. They've simply designed their life so that discipline only has to happen once. Here is the part nobody talks about. The first 3 years are the dead zone. You are 1 year in, and your account holds maybe $3,800. You put in $3,600 of that yourself. The market added a measly $150. That number is small. You know it's small. And because it's small, your brain tells you it doesn't matter. This is the phase that kills most people's dreams of wealth. They look at their balance, they look at the effort of staying consistent, and they think, this isn't working. They redirect that $10 toward a subscription service or a new gadget that delivers a hit of dopamine in 2 days. It feels reasonable in the moment. It feels like a reward for all that restraint. But in reality, those are the most expensive purchases of your life. Not because of the $10, but because of the 30 years of compounding you just erased. You have to be willing to be bored for 3 years. You have to be willing to train for a game that nobody told you was happening. And I want to be honest with you here. This is genuinely the hardest part of the entire process. Not the math. Not the discipline of setting up the automation. The hardest part is emotional. It is sitting with a number that looks unimpressive, month after month, and trusting a process that offers you almost no visible feedback for a very long time. Think about anything else in life that requires this kind of delayed gratification. Learning an instrument, building physical strength, mastering a language. In every one of those pursuits, there is a period at the beginning where the effort you're putting in massively outweighs the results you're seeing. Most people quit during that exact window in every single one of those pursuits for the exact same reason. The visible reward hasn't caught up to the invisible progress yet. Investing is no different. Except in investing, the eventual reward is disproportionately larger than almost anything else you could apply this patience to. By year 15, something shifts. The market's contribution to your account suddenly eclipses your own. You are no longer the primary driver of your wealth. Time and the market are. You are now a minority contributor to your own success. Let that sink in for a second, because it's genuinely one of the strangest and most beautiful mechanics in personal finance. There comes a point, for almost everyone who stays consistent, where the money you've contributed becomes the smaller half of your account. The larger half is money that simply appeared because you let time do what time does. You didn't work harder for that money. You didn't take on more risk for it. You simply didn't interrupt the process. This is where the second price tag becomes crystal clear. You realize that the $10 you didn't invest at 22 didn't just cost you $10. Because of 30 years of missed compounding, that $10 coffee actually cost you nearly $200 in future value. Once you see that, once you truly visualize that invisible price, it changes your relationship with money forever. You don't become stingy. You become precise. You start to view every purchase through a different lens. You ask, is this item worth the future version of myself losing $200? And I want to be clear about something, because this isn't about deprivation. This isn't about never buying coffee again or living some joyless, hyper-restrictive life in pursuit of a spreadsheet. It's about awareness. Once you know the true cost of something, you get to make an actual informed decision instead of an automatic one. Sometimes the honest answer is yes, this coffee, this dinner, this small joy is absolutely worth it to me today. That's a completely legitimate answer. What stops being legitimate is spending money without ever knowing what it's really costing you, because an uninformed decision isn't really a decision at all. It's just a habit wearing the costume of a choice. By year 20, the account balance is no longer just a number. It is evidence. It is 20 years of proof that one single, boring, automated decision has built a foundation that no one can take away from you. The account has done something that money alone cannot explain. It has changed who you are. You are no longer someone who needs to be told to save. You are someone who sees the long game. You have a floor beneath your life. Even if you lose your job, even if the economy shifts, you have a mechanism that is quietly, relentlessly working on your behalf. This is worth pausing on, because I think we underestimate how much financial stress reshapes a person's entire nervous system. When you don't have a floor, every unexpected expense feels like a potential catastrophe. Every piece of bad news about the economy lands differently in your body. But when you know that somewhere, quietly, a system has been compounding on your behalf for 2 decades, the entire texture of how you experience uncertainty changes. You're not naive to risk. You're just no longer defenseless against it. You aren't retiring. You are gaining options. You are choosing to work because you want to, not because you are forced to. That is the true value of the second price tag. It is the price of freedom. And I think that word, freedom, gets thrown around so often in personal finance content that it's almost lost its meaning. So let me be specific about what I actually mean by it. Freedom is the ability to leave a job that no longer serves you without panicking about next month's rent. Freedom is being able to take a lower paying role that actually excites you because the pressure to maximize every paycheck has quietly disappeared. Freedom is not needing to say yes to every extra shift, every uncomfortable compromise, every situation your gut is telling you to walk away from, simply because you can't afford to listen to your gut. That is what 20, 25, 30 years of consistent, boring, automated investing actually buys you. Not a number on a screen. Actual agency over your own life. Somewhere right now, a 22-year-old is holding a $10 bill. They are tired, they are hungry, and they are looking at a menu. To them, it is just $10. They cannot see the second price tag yet. But if you are listening to this, you now have the key. You know that the beginning of something that grows into $600,000 and the beginning of nothing look exactly the same on day one. That's the part that should genuinely unsettle you a little, in a productive way. There is no visible difference, on day one, between the person who is about to build significant wealth over the next 3 decades and the person who is about to have nothing to show for those same 3 decades. The only difference is the decision made on that first day, and whether it gets protected long enough for the curve to start bending upward. The mechanism doesn't require your belief to work. It doesn't require your motivation. It just requires you to start. The $10 is the key. The 30 years is the door. You already have the key. Now, all you have to do is turn it. If this changed the way you think about the coffee in your hand right now, subscribe, because we drop new videos every week breaking down exactly this kind of thing. The financial truths that never get explained to us clearly the first time around. And I'd genuinely love to know, what's your version of the $10 coffee? What's the small daily thing you've never actually run the 30-year math on? Drop it in the comments. See you in the next one.